Okay, let's take some questions. Is Orisa still terrible? I need to go on the right screen as well. Is Orisa still terrible? Beautiful question. I love this question. Yes and no. Weird answer. Orisa's actually kind of, she has bumped up, like the buff helped her out pretty heavily. She's still very gimmicky, and I think she's still primarily defense only. I am not the biggest fan. I still remain skeptical. Like, I would still rather have a Roadhog or a Zarya. I'll be much happier with them. If Orisa's being played as main tank, I'm really not happy with it. If you're running a Tourbillon comp, it can work, but there's just so many ways of beating it, where you just run a Sombra, or you just run a, like, you just run any combination of huge ultimates. A Tracer with a Pulse Bomb can do a lot as well. Like, there's a lot of ways of dealing with the Orisa. And to me, again, Orisa's biggest problem isn't necessarily her damage output. Her damage output is great. Her damage output is really, really strong, but it's this. Once you drop a barrier, Orisa's kind of committed to that spot, right? She can't do anything about any sort of movement. She's just kind of stuck where she is. And if you just move through it, you just walk through it, what the hell is Orisa gonna do? Like, she can't do anything about that, and she's just huge, and then she's going to die. And so that's sort of my big issue with Orisa, is once you learn to just walk through it, she's nothing. That's a huge issue. She only really works, in my mind, on defense, and even then, you need other tanks to sort of help create pressure. I'm not the happiest, but she can work, especially in lower ranks. People just don't walk through barriers at lower ranks and just tend to stand and shoot at her. If you, like, as Orisa, you want to get into these long fights where you're just trading damage back and forth. If they have a Reinhardt, you have an Orisa, you just keep refreshing your barrier. Even if it gets broken and goes down, you could still get a new one in like 3 seconds, so it doesn't matter too much. And then you just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. The Reinhardt's barrier doesn't regenerate like yours, so you just end up winning. Thank you, the Ha Warrior. I'm going with the Ha Warrior. You said that, or the Warrior. The Warrior. Warrior. There you go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you on board. Let's see. What will be a higher target priority than Pharmacy for Soldier 76? Very, very little, although it varies. So again, it's like I said, you're looking at your team lineup and you're going to break it down. You're going to break it down. And what you're going to do is, like, the only instances I would say where something else would be higher prio would be if you look at all these heroes, all these tasty heroes. Like, let's think about which ones deal with Pharmacy super, super well and which ones don't. Well, actually, I think I have green. Yeah, I have green. We're going to take green, highlighter. I'm going to get a nice thick, nice very large sort of thing. Well, Widowmaker is an obvious one. Widowmaker are going to be very good at just putting pressure on Pharmacy. You can just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot into it. As long as the Pharmacy's being kept reasonably distant, Widowmaker is usually going to do okay in that matchup. Just needs a little bit of support usually. Soldier, extremely strong against Pharmacy. Extremely strong. And then, like, it kind of just melts away into nothing. Like, Tourbillon's actually alright in terms of his turret, but honestly, the Pharmacy can just blow the turret up usually and then sort of start advancing forward. Once the turret's gone, you're going to need something else to sort of start putting pressure on. And then D.Va's going to be able to slow it down as well. And then maybe at a stretch as well, your own Pharmacy. Like, Pharmacy can go and dual Pharmacy, and then if yours is better, you just win. Is sort of the theory behind that. But what I would say is this. If you're playing Soldier and you have a Widowmaker on your team, you can probably afford to let Widow deal with the... Is that a dot on my screen? Yes, that's a dot on my screen, not a dot in the green screen. You can let the Widow go and deal with the Pharmacy. Or at least you can let Widow do the bulk of the work on the Pharmacy and just occasionally help out to finish off. Like, your job is not going to be to deal with the Pharmacy full time. That's when you can go and deal with the Tracer more and stuff like that. Because the Widow can't deal with that super easily. Or as well as you can from moment to moment. Widowmaker versus Tracer is a complicated matchup anyway. But in most cases, you're going to be the best thing to actually shoot at that Pharmacy. So that's where you're going to be dealing with it most of the, like, pretty much full time, is if you can see the Pharmacy, shoot at it, make it scared to do stuff, put pressure on it, and then suddenly the Pharmacy's impact is less and less and less and less and less. And this is even more true if you have a Zen. Like, I really like Zen Soldier versus Pharmacy because all you do then is every single time the Pharah or the Mercy pops up, you put a Discord Orb on it, Soldier shoots it a couple of times, it's going to back away. And suddenly you've nullified 2 heroes basically with just a couple of steps, and then you have time to just go and deal with other stuff. So I quite like that. That's sort of my thoughts, I guess, on that topic on target priority. Very, very rarely that you're going to be dealing with like anything else is going to be higher priority. Just because if you shut down the pharmacy or if you put enough pressure on it, and especially if other people occasionally help out with it, you're generally beating back like 2 heroes, and a lot of times when a pharmacy is on a team, the team comp plays very heavily around that pharmacy. Can I res someone when I am behind them to use their invincibility, use them as invincible body shields? No. I believe the way it will work with the new Mercy. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna answer a question. I'm gonna answer their question while we do this because we can actually figure this out. If I go to my webcam, so I'm gonna answer the next question while I go to the PTR. Exit to desktop. Who is better encountering pharmacy on Iconvolt, Soldier or McCree? Soldier. McCree against pharmacy. The problem with McCree versus pharmacy is it's always very easy for the pharmacy to deal with it, where the pharmacy just has to play from a distance. So the pharmacy is just gonna create a lot of space. Shoot down, shoot down, shoot down, shoot down. And the McCree can't really deal with that because when McCree's dealing reduced damage, he's not going to be able to out DPS the Pharah's healing, and the Mercy's healing rather, and so you're never going to be able to get that out of the sky, and so it's never really a big problem for the pharmacy. Is the PTR down? That sucks. Kind of hoping it'll be up. PTR is down, yeah. Fuck. Fuck! Ah, that sucks. Wanted to test that. I believe the way it works is when someone is being rezzed and when they are getting picked back up, they aren't physical. They just get shot through, so you'll just be shot through it. Especially with new Mercy, you don't get any immortality anyway. So that golden period where they're going, people just shoot through it, and then that's going to go into you. And then they're physical, and then they'll take damage, but they won't be invincible. So I'm going to go back onto live. Go back here. Ooh, ooh. Oh, hey, we're on Iconvolt. Fitting, fitting. Dance. Dance for a soldier. Let's see. What's the best advice in soldier versus soldier fight? Try and land your rockets. is the basic advice. Like, try... The way I do it is I kind of go through, like, 3 steps. Step 1 is I just try and land a whole shitload of left clicks. The idea is to... Basically, you're trying to force them to use the biotic field, because once biotic field is down, the soldier is kind of stuck in this nice little circle on the floor. It's a little bit bigger than that. Like that, more or less. And the soldier's sort of stuck in this circle, right? As if he wants any healing. Once the soldier's stuck in that circle, he can't actually move as freely. Like, he's got limited space to actually dodge. So you know he's going to be around there. So what you do is you just plug a rocket in the middle of it. You let it tick up for a little while, so he just gets a little bit of healing from it, and then you just slam a rocket at his feet. He's going to take a shitload of damage from that, and then you go for the finishing blow. And that's sort of the general way I try and structure it, is like damage, 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 heal field, okay, just a couple of pepper shots just to negate the effects of the healing field a little bit, rocket, finish. And you just try and go from that. But don't be afraid to disengage if you're losing. Like, just run back to your team, hide behind your team, heal up there, all that kind of stuff. But that's generally how I think of it, because the idea is this: if you land the rocket before the healing field goes down, he's just instantly got a healing field, focus on dodging, heal himself back up, and then he's going to be fine. So you generally, you want to use the rocket as a finisher, less than like an opener. You use the rocket as an opener, it's easy for him to just focus on dodging, like just do the soldier fucking bounce. Very, very difficult to hit people when they're doing that, and then he just heals up, and suddenly you've wasted your rocket, he fires his, he wins. So yeah. That's the tip I would give. Is there an actual magic roundabout? Roundabout made of 5 smaller roundabouts? Yes, there is. It's in Swindon. I used to live near it. Where is Pharmacy weak? Is there even a place? Is there even a mythical place where Pharmacy is weak? Yes. Pharmacy is weak in any map with very, very open sightlines. Good example is like portions of maps. Dorado Second Point. Pharmacy can actually drop off pretty heavily because the aerial cover is a little bit tricky. Dorado Third Point as well. Pharmacy just gets less useful because generally if they're in the air, they're visible to everyone and will just get shot. Couple of maps as well. I think Sanctum. Yeah, Sanctum on Nepal is going to be difficult. Control Center on Lijiang is actually okay-ish. Like, it's not terrible. It's not great, however. There are places where it's suboptimal, at the very least. It's strong, don't get me wrong. It's never going to be completely useless in the way that like a Widowmaker could be completely useless. But it's not the most viable pick. YouTube demonetization. Don't get me started. Like my fucking video, the coffee time video is apparently not suitable for advertisement. So you betcha I fucking submitted for review on that. To get the visor heal animation combo, it works the other way around. Heal first, then visor, so you don't waste visor time putting your heal down. Okay, there you go. So you just press Q while the visor's coming up? I don't know, let's test. Let's test. Why not? Hero gallery. Like, oh, no, training. Practice range. Let's test this shit out. Let's answer another question. What's the best crosshair settings for Soldier? It's personal. What about Pharmacy on console? Pharmacy on console, as far as I'm concerned, is a lot stronger. Like, people have a hard time aiming up. The Pharmacy's going to have a harder time aiming as well. I don't play on console, so I can't give you a comprehensive answer, unfortunately. Build up this juicy ult. Almost there. Get that one. Okay. So let's press heal, then press Q. Heal, Q. There you go. Was it really that much faster? Maybe. I mean, having a heal field down while you're pressing Q is not too bad anyway. Try and get another one, nice and quick. 2 bots here. It'd probably be faster to use the whole boatload of bots over here. Gun that one down. Got to reload. Oop. Apparently I'm missing training bots. Let's try this again. I've actually finally got the Doomfist thing down. People are fucking terrible at explaining the Doomfist jump mechanic. Only after Chips's video that I actually fucking understood how it fully works. Let's see. Once again. Okay, so the animation cancel is more for the healing field. You notice that there was no animation to drop the healing field. I basically did both of them at the same time. So there you go. So there you are. What's the best crosshair settings? Like I said, it's personal. Actually, I need to change my crosshair settings on this one, on this account. Change this to 2. And there we go. Some people like having the spread, like the aim assist, or the what is it called? Like aim recoil show accuracy. Like some people like having this, so it sort of goes out as your accuracy shifts. I'm not the biggest fan of it. The reason why is I like to use my crosshair just as like a marker for the middle of the screen. So I like having it just mark out where the dead center is, and then just a little bit of crosshair just to assist with that. So it basically just means that if I'm on someone's head, like I know exactly where the middle of the screen is, and I know that I've got their head locked into my crosshair. After that, I'm used to Soldier's spray pattern, like, or not spray pattern, but like the fact that it's 4 bullets and then it will start spreading. So you sort of get used to firing in sort of small bursts when you're at long range. So let's go to 40 meters. So this is 40, or I think this might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 50 meters. Like, when I'm at this distance, it's very easy to just sort of feather the shots, and then when you're at closer range, it's easier to just, like, hold down and aim for the neck. And just get that little bit more DPS out. There you go. Do it. Easy. Okay. With the upcoming patch, will D.Va still be the best versus, best tanks versus Pharmacy, or I'd be trying something else? Very hard to call. Very hard to call. I think yes, still, like, just because the defense matrix, the way it's being retuned is that it will recharge relatively quickly compared to how it does now. So it'll recharge a bit quicker, so you can still like scoop rockets out of the air. You can still protect people from the Pharmacy a little bit. You can also just sort of rocket back, so you can very easily just like fly at the Pharah, blasting her with rockets, and you can try and blow her up that way. Or the Mercy, for example. But yeah, it's one of those things of like, we need to see how it works. Like, I don't think anyone has had a serious enough go with a new D.Va and a new Pharmacy at a high enough level to really say for certain, okay, D.Va is now garbage versus Pharmacy. Or maybe D.Va is just not worth playing anymore. Like, she just doesn't bring enough. So sure, she might be okay-ish against Pharmacy, but there's just better options. You're better off just bringing an extra hit scan, or you're better off just bringing more barriers, or you're better off just bringing more stuff that can just kill stuff on the ground. Like, we don't know until we start trying to slot these things together. With Diva dropping out of favor, possibly due to a change, what is the duo you prefer to use for dealing with pharmacy? First for Zen Soldier, yeah, I think Zen Soldier is like the way to go. Zen Soldier, or you can try and run Hanzo. God, ugh, sorry, I had an episode there. You try and run McCree Soldier, and you just try and hit Scanner out the sky with like a Reinhardt and just play around that. So yeah, you just go from there. When running a reset as an off-tank, with Ryan as an example against an enemy Ana, is it a viable strategy to launch the barrier and enemy team to deny healing? No. Very emphatic no. The reason why is simple. Let's say I am playing Ana, as I am often want to do. So I'm playing Ana, and let's say, like, that for the sake of argument, that robot over there is my heal target. Oh, I'm healing, and then Ana throws a barrier down here, and I just go like this. Okay. And suddenly this 8-second cooldown, or whatever it is, 12 seconds, is gone. This 900 hit point barrier that you could use elsewhere is no longer relevant. Like, just use it to protect your team, and just gun down the enemy barriers. Like, the thing that Orisa gives you, getting a lot of Orisa questions apparently, is she gives you the certainty that you will win a barrier war. Like, in an extended battle between barriers, you are going to win that battle. So if you protect targets with it, pop it down, and you just gun down, like, even if they are killing your barrier every time, you're going to be refreshing it pretty consistently. 8 seconds, there you go. 12 seconds was the nerfed version. And you're just going to be able to gun through their barriers if they don't have an Orisa. So you're going to have a really easy time just gunning down, and then if you need to refresh it, you can just keep refreshing it, and just keep playing around your barrier. If you're launching it into the distance, well, the enemy team's just going to move past it. And then, like, the key factor of your kit is suddenly irrelevant. So you're better off just using it for the purpose it was made for, and the purpose it's better for. If you really want to cut an Ana off, and you want to sort of deny Ana healing, you play Winston, or you play Diva. New Diva could even work still pretty well against it, because you just go and dive bomb the Ana. Like, both of these options work a lot better, because you're built for this. Like, you can actually just go and jump in, miss the platform hopefully, and then stand in front of the Ana. Oh, look, she's going into the bubble. Oh, we can kill her in the bubble. Oh, there's nothing Ana can do. Lol, she's dead. Woo, we are out and we're safe. Yay, hello. And so, yeah, that's sort of my answer to that, I guess. What if you have a Junkrat who's throwing massive spam in front of your barrier? That makes it difficult for people to just walk through. You pick Diva, you hold right mouse button, you go through, you just have Reinhardt hold his barrier up, and you just walk through it. Like, to me, this is sort of the insanity. This is the insane part. What's better? Standing in front of the Orisa with your barrier up, and then just hoping that somehow the Junkrat and Orisa's damage doesn't blow your barrier up before you get through theirs, or you just hold your barrier up and walk forwards. Am I crazy? Am I crazy here, positing this? I don't think so. So, yeah. Like, you just find a way to walk through it. The worst thing you can do is just stand and just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. Going to the high ground of soldiers seems to often isolate me from the rest of the team, make it easy for the enemy to focus me. Any tips to knowing when to run away and when to position differently? If the enemy team is running a pharmacy, be very careful about taking high ground. It's my general rule of thumb. Like, the more aggressive the pharmacy is, well, the more careful you want to be. Because if you're just stood inside the team and you're just sort of pinging, the disadvantage of just standing in your team and pinging is you might not necessarily have the best angle. But if you're stood on top of something, like here would be beautiful. Well, not beautiful to do with pharmacy, like here would be better. Because you don't have like a backboard for the Pharah to splash against, and you're protected from above. Because what the Pharah really wants to do is just like dive on top of you. Because the Pharah knows, especially with a pharmacy, if she can land 2 rockets faster than you can just shoot at her. But if you're in a position like this, like, it's very, very easy. Does this actually break? No. It's very, very easy for the pharmacy to just like slam rockets into here, and then you're just going to die. Because in the DPS race, the pharmacy is going to beat your damage. Like, just head to head. So you need to have something to give you that little bit of an edge. That might be that you're just focusing her from like a longer distance, and she's missing the first couple of shots. And when the first shot does land, okay, you put down heal field, you keep blasting. You keep going to work on her. And then when she does finally get in, it's just like, okay, well, you're dead. So that's sort of what you're trying to do. Let's see. Do you think the McCree needs some sort of buff? Not currently. I think he's okay. He seems to be doing alright. He's sort of coming back into vogue here and there. Still gets picked up. He's still useful. He's still good at the things he needs to be good at. I think he's alright. Especially with the buff he got recently to his flashbang, where it stops momentum now. That made him a good bit stronger. Any guesses on how new Mercy's going to affect a Mercy one-trick pony's rating? Kind of random question. In general, the good ones will rise, the bad ones will sink. So every single hero in Overwatch has a skill ceiling and a skill floor. Let's talk about these concepts. They're important to understand. Like, I think a lot of you already understand what's meant by a skill floor and a skill ceiling. But let's look at Mercy. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she lovely? And I hate playing her, which is a shame. I'm looking forward to being able to actually play her and not hate my life. So let's talk about this. So a skill ceiling and a skill floor. The idea behind this concept is that skill can sort of be judged on a graph, right? So we're going to draw a graph, like so. So these are our axes. This is like rating, I guess. And then this will be pop. So this will be population. And so right now, the Mercies don't really have a normal distribution, or it doesn't feel like Mercies have like a normal distribution. A normal distribution looks like this, where it goes up, and the peak is in the middle, and then it goes back down. It's not quite perfect, actually. It goes up, and it's more like this, and then it's like this, and then... And like this middle bit should actually be in the middle. And like this is the ideal, right? That at 2.5k, most of the Mercies exist, and that these are the Mercies of average skill. What skill floor and skill ceiling imply is that skill floor is how easy is it to just pick up and play that hero. A hero with an example of a really high skill floor is going to be like Genji. If you just pick up Genji, you give it to someone who's never played an FPS before, they're not going to have a fucking clue what to do with it. He's got double jumps, he's got wall climbs, he's got projectiles, he's got 2 firing styles. He doesn't do huge amounts of damage with those firing styles alone. He has to use melee often. He has a very high movement dash. Tracer's sort of an example of the same, although her skill floor is slightly lower because her concepts are a little bit simpler. She doesn't move in like 3 dimensions the same way that Genji does. Instead, she has these 3 blinks that need managing carefully, but she has a lower hit point pool. Example of a hero with a low skill floor is Mercy. You can play Mercy relatively competently by just holding left click. And just like holding left click on the right target to the right time, and you're still being relatively effective, and then a couple of people die and you press Q. And that's all you really need to do. So what that does to this graph is it actually makes it look more like this. And it like dramatically inflates the midsection, and then you have like the super high skill Mercies sort of pushing out, and then the super low skill Mercies pushing out. But most Mercies kind of about the same. Actually, I think this should be rating, if I'm doing this correctly. Like most Mercies are kind of all the same. They're not particularly different in how they play, and like how you can tell a really good Mercy from a really bad Mercy. It's difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. Like if I wanted to take a Tracer and say, is this Tracer a good Tracer? There's a whole host of things like look at how they manage their blinks, how they work the left clicks, how they work the target priority. With Mercy, it's kind of like where do they position, how do they prioritize healing, how much damage amp do they ever get out, how good are their reses, how good are they at hiding. But inside that space, there's not a huge amount of differences you can create. So the skill floor is actually very low. The skill ceiling is also very low because a really great Mercy doesn't really have huge opportunities to show that she's really great. It's not like playing Widowmaker where it's very, very, very easy to sort of break down, okay, well, this Widowmaker is better than this Widowmaker because this Widowmaker has 20% crit rate, 60% base accuracy. This Widowmaker has 15% crit rate, 50% accuracy. That Widowmaker is better than this one. Like, it's very, very easy to sort of tell apart. With Mercies, it's way muddier. What the new changes are going to do is they're going to force it so that it's much, much harder, and you're going to get a much more gentle kind of slope going up to the center and then coming back down, where the good Mercies are going to be able to demonstrate that they can push out. The bad Mercies are going to, well, the average Mercies are going to all linger around the center, and then the bad Mercies are going to sink down. And you're going to be able to tell that's a bad Mercy, that's a good Mercy. And you can kind of spot a good Mercy and a bad Mercy at the moment, but it's just going to be more obvious in how they pick their heal targets, how they use their res, how they use their ultimate, and how they prioritize it, how they move with it, how they position with it. All that kind of stuff is going to be sort of filtered in. There's more choices to be made for Mercy players now. There's more decisions to be made, and therefore it's going to be easier to spot the ones that are making the right decisions, and they're going to win games and sort of progress higher than the worst Mercies that aren't going to win games and they're going to drop lower. So it's going to be very, very easy, I guess. And some Mercies are going to be very frustrated by this because they're going to lose rating. Rightfully fucking so. There is a joke that is moderately sexist there is a nugget of truth to it, and you can sort of just twist the joke to not be sexist, and it becomes just kind of true, which is, you know, how do you tell how good a Mercy is? Well, it's how good is her boyfriend. That's sort of the shitty joke, but if you just twist the joke, you know, how good is their duo partner? Like, that's all you need to twist that to actually make it somewhat factual, of like, a Mercy can very easily be carried by a solid duo partner, and the Mercy doesn't necessarily have to be a great player to actually just climb into Masters, into Grandmasters. Most Mercies tend to stop climbing around Masters to Grandmasters because that's where sort of the divide is, where a great Mercy will shine and a bad Mercy will be spotted out, shouted at, and flamed. And I imagine a lot of Mercies get stuck in Masters, get shouted at a lot, and get very stressed with it. Mercy's going to be frustrated. Bad Mercy's especially going to be frustrated. If you find yourself playing Mercy and you start dropping after the changes, adapt, get better, learn how to position better, play it better. There are more opportunities for new Mercy to demonstrate that you're a high-skill player and climb with it than old Mercy. That's sort of my piece on the Mercy thing. Let's see. What if Batman gets bitten by a vampire? Hasn't that happened? I remember seeing a cartoon at some point of like a Justice League cartoon set in another dimension where Batman was a vampire. But it wasn't like Bruce Wayne Batman, it was some other guy, but he basically occupied the same role as Batman. And it was one of those ones where Superman was a totalitarian and stuff like that as well. I don't think he changed that much, to be honest. He just had to eat people. Well, drink blood. That's the biggest difference. He'd actually eat something and Alfred would be happy. Is it possible to play Farah sort of ground-based when opponents can too easily see in the air? Shoot rockets by Rhymes and things when they back up to boost. Yes and no. My argument is this: if you're stuck on the ground playing Farah and you're not getting huge amounts of advantage out of her rockets, you might as well swap and play something else. Like at that point, you aren't using half her kit, so you might as well do something else. And that's sort of how I frame my mind with questions like this. It's like, you know, to me, it's exactly the same question as like asking, well, I'm playing Junkrat, but I have no way of using my concussive mines. Should I still play Junkrat? No. You should play something else. I'm playing Fire, but I can't use my jump jets. Should I play something else? Yes. Because you can't use all your kits, and why not play something that you can use all your kit on at that moment? Is there ever a time when Soldier isn't viable? Not really. There was a meta period where McCree was just flat out better, so you just pick McCree instead. But Soldier is generally always pretty good. He's designed to be sort of nice and all-rounder and fit into tons. Will World Cup Finals be done using the newest patches? Not a clue. We don't know. They will probably be used... It will definitely be on the Junkertown patch at the very least. Probably be on the patch after the Junkertown patch, if I had to guess. So the Halloween patch. No, the Halloween patch will be too close, won't it? Halloween's... It might not be, actually. Depends on when they release the Halloween event. Because if you think about it, BlizzCon is like November 4th and 5th, I think. So you basically have this first week of November anyway. So if they patch it around, so if there's a patch like mid-October, it might use that patch. The thing is, it has to be like, it won't run into the same issue that we ran into with the qualifiers, because the qualifiers are played over like 5 weeks. They're like week 1, week 2, there was a break, and then week 3, week 4, I think, is how it ended up going. Like Katowice and Sydney, Katowice and Santa Monica were sort of at the end. And so they wanted them all played on the same patch, but that's not going to happen with the finals because they're all just played at BlizzCon. So it'll probably just be on whatever's live at the time. Allergic reaction, there we go. Arisa counter, just walk forward. Let's do one more question and then we'll play some Overwatch. I don't think you're crazy. I do think you're undervaluing the damage Arisa does when you go through her. Close range is it's easy to hit non-flankers coming at an angle, or am I crazy? Again, the question isn't, is running past Arisa difficult? The question is this: is standing in front of Arisa's shield and being shot by Arisa necessarily better than moving past Arisa's shield and being shot by Arisa? Are you going to beat Arisa by standing in front of a barrier, or are you going to beat Arisa by going through it? Okay, the fundamental reality here is that you have to go through the barrier. You can't blow through it unless you have a really high damage output team like Reaper Roadhog can do that. Reaper Roadhog Junkrat could probably blow through it in no time at all. Bastion could blow through it in no time at all. But how often are you going to run those team comps? Not often. So it's just a matter of, okay, we've got to find a way past this barrier. You either go in a direction where Orisa isn't and get around her and then just find a corner to engage around and get into her, or you just walk through the barrier and just brute force through it as quickly as you can. Speed boost, run through. What's Orisa going to do? She's going to go, oh fuck, and fortify, and she's going to go gold, and then she's going to shit bricks and die. Like, that's all she can kind of do. If 6 people just march through it, there's not much you can do. If Reinhardt gets marched through, you can take a couple of swings with his hammer, hit everyone in the process, bring his barrier up, block off 1 or 2 people still, try and position himself, try and reposition to make sure he's blocking for as long as possible. But Orisa, she can't do shit. And so that's sort of the issue. One more question. Am I the only one who refers to random unknown players as the gender of the character they're playing? No. I generally refer to them. I generally refer to the gender of the character. Like, if I've been doing this since I was playing League as well. Like, you know, if someone's playing Katarina, I would say she. If someone's playing Mercy, like Mercy, she needs to move. It's just easier for me. And it's easier because then you're not trying to guess what gender people are in real life. That's always a fun game, because then someone always makes a joke, oh, why are you misgendering me? My identifier as an attack helicopter. Like, that isn't run out like crazy. What do you think is the best use of Mercy's new ult to save yourself on corner? Definitely a good application of it. Just like, if you're in a team fight and the team fight's looking rocky, use it. Suddenly you're healing everyone, amping everyone. You're contributing way more than the enemy Mercy is. If you are getting dived as well, you can just use it as a safety, similar to how... Basically, you can use res like that already, but similar to how you'll see Zenyatta's do the same. Right. It's going to take some practice and getting used to. I'm looking forward to it. I want to play Mercy. I like playing Mercy on the PTR. I don't like playing Mercy on live. I like Mercy's fundamental, like, core gameplay, but I don't like the hiding, and I don't think that's entertaining or fun or interesting, and so I don't like doing it. I know we sort of moved away from Soldier there for a bit, but having Mercy dance around on the screen, honestly, is not necessarily a bad thing, I think. Okay, thank you guys for watching to the end of Coaching the Many. We're going to play some Overwatch in a second, but otherwise, thank you for joining us. If you do want to send in some footage to be coached, you absolutely can. I think someone might have even posted it elsewhere. Wow, wow. Bastion on every... No. Because I'm at about 1.2k. Just kill him. Just kill him when in doubt. So if you want to get your footage reviewed, send it to oamreviews@gmail.com, include the hero name and the rank in the title, plus a description and a YouTube link in the main body. And then I might review it, I might pick it. Subs have slightly higher priority than non-subs. This was a sub, I do believe. But I do review non-sub footage every now and then. We occasionally do console, but I prefer doing PC footage, just as a general rule of thumb. So yeah, that's, I think, all you really need to keep in mind. Otherwise, come by and watch us live as well, 10 o'clock British time on Fridays and Saturdays, unless there's been a Scrim Central tournament, in which case it gets moved to Sundays, because casting is tiring. On your team. Okay, that hurts even worse, to be honest. I mean, in bronze, Bastion might not be bad. Might not be bad. So yeah. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys next time. Doodles. And